Hello, hello. Welcome to our weekly live stream. Just so you know, we are experiencing some technical difficulties. My power is out, my Wi-Fi is out, my mobile connection is terrible. So if I disappear, we will definitely discuss more of this topic next week as well. Maybe more details, maybe look at some case studies. So we will return with this topic, but today we will try. I'm An Sumari. I have been an SEO for more than 20 years. Now I'm Smarty.marketing. And please check us out and let us know if you need any help. With me today and always, our director of social, April. She will be helping with comments. And if I disappear, she will let you know how to join us next week at 1 p.m. On Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST. Please subscribe in Smart.com. This is where I talk about every weekly topic. We always try to be very, very time sensitive and actionable. So whatever anything is happening in SEO industry or AI industry, they are very overlapping right now. We talk about them during this quick live streams and we try to suggest some plan of action, what to do, at least how to start solving something and what to actually do with everything that's going on. Luckily, something is always going on, so we always have very timely, relevant and interesting topic to discuss every week at 1 p.m. ST on Wednesdays. So andsmarty.com is where you will find everything we have been discussing and where we will be discussing every week. Today is a is a topic that I predicted last time we met right before the holidays. Was our last live stream for 2025, and I said that Google would probably launch their core update over the holidays because that is what they do every year. I understand why many people think that it's just them being cruel to businesses who may be losing their money, their employees, their businesses, their ROI, their income during the holidays and celebrating the holidays with the thought that they don't know if they're going to have any money next year. That is definitely evil, but I don't think it's why Google is doing that. I think they picked the holidays for their biggest updates because not so many people are using Google at that time. So it is probably not as risky if anything goes wrong. Not as many people will be impacted. So every year the same thing happens. I don't remember for how long. I feel like it's always been like that. On Christmas and New Year, Google launches its biggest update of the year. It has been core updates for a few years now, and this year's update has been one of the biggest ones. So it was very, very impactful. So if you haven't checked your Google traffic or rankings, it is a good reminder for you to go and do that. We've seen a lot of sites and even very huge and trustworthy and well-known publications losing half of their organic search visibility over this update. So let go and check go and check how you're doing. Well, someone should have grown because there's always, if anyone is going down, there is always someone going up. So you may have even good news there, so check that out. Before we look at this specific update, let's talk about the three most recent Google updates that have been happening in our industry for at least, I would say, 3 years now. So they're relatively new. They're still going on. They're still very impactful, and they're still not easy to understand. So there is a earlier update, but I think we did have it this year as well. I'm already in 2025. I'm already losing my mind a little bit because so much is going on. But it is one of the very penalizing updates. So Google punishes people with that update. It's called spam update. Google has the whole section on their documentation explaining what they consider spam. The most in most cases, those updates are about doorway pages, that is creating lots of pages just for the sake of capturing different but similar keyword rankings. Usually those are the same pages for every state or every city or every town you are serving in, and the content is very similar, and those pages are and the contact information is very similar. Everything is the same, but the title and some automated content on those pages. Usually these are very common reasons for the spam update to hit your website. There are some other: site reputation, too much automation, too much using of AI. So there are quite a few reasons. Check those out. I'm sure Google will do another spam update. It is already being predicted because spam is still going in search results. So check Google's section on what they consider spam and look at your website. If you can be guilty of all of that, it's a good time to think about that. This is, again, punishing content, punishing update. All they do is impact websites negatively. No one is elevated, everyone is down, and the only reason why you may be seeing improval of organic search clicks is because someone who was ranking above you was considered as spam. They were removed from search results, and you are now taking their position. So in those cases, you may see the elevation, but the only thing that updates does is punishes. There is another update which I will mention here: helpful content update. It is also in most cases a valid penalizing update. It is not rewarding helpful content. It is punishing unhelpful content. What is helpful content? We really haven't figured out. I have a few articles over at nsmiley.com, which we discussed previously, with some tools and theories of how you can try to make your content more helpful, but there is no conclusive steps to recovering from that update. What's interesting about that update, it is still there, but it is not being separate now. Now, helpful content system is part of core updates. So we already didn't know what hit our website during the helpful content. Now, to make things even worse, it is part of the core update. So let's talk about the core update. That is the one that happened over the whole holidays. Google has been telling us that it is not penalizing update because it is only about fixing the algorithm or changing something in the core of the algorithm. It could be understanding search queries differently, search intent behind those search queries differently, trying to make those results better. If you've been impacted, that's what they were telling us for many years. If you've been impacted by core update, you may not have to recover from it because it is just because Google thought that your website is great, your page is great, but it is not as relevant, it is not as well satisfactory, as well serving those particular searches. So some queries may be changing, others will remain the same. Well, what can I say about that is that it appears that with the addition of helpful content system and algorithm, the core update is now becoming penalizing as well. So it is penalizing unhelpful content. So it is not as neutral anymore. And again, there is also a huge debate if Google is using their click-through data, their engagement data, to evaluate usefulness or helpfulness of content. If that is the case, it is also part of the core update. So it is very important to make sure that your site is being very engaging and helpful to the users. So Now it's not just about search results. It is the core update may very well consider your website unhelpful, unusable, not as trustworthy or authoritative as it should be for that particular set of queries. So what to do? Again, it was a very impactful update. Many businesses, even huge ones, lost some organic search visibility. So what to do if you go to your Search Console now or your Google Analytics and you see your traffic has declined over the holidays? You may have been, if it's back now, it's fine, because everyone saw some dips in traffic over the holidays because not as many people are using the web. If it's not coming back, you may have been impacted by that update. So what to do? There is a very useful compare feature in Search Console where you can compare your traffic today versus a week ago, for example. Don't go too far back, because if you go a year ago, if you go like year back or something like that, you will see a very skewed data because we've been losing traffic for various reasons throughout the year. So what has been there what was there 12 months ago may be absolutely different picture today. So don't go too far back. Try 1 month, try 1 week. The update has stopped rolling out about a week ago. So I would assume comparing before and after a week is a good idea. Now then go to the tab that says Pages in your Search Console and click Clicks twice, the column that says Clicks. Now you see all the list of pages that lost the most organic search traffic from Google. And this is your time to take those pages and try to understand what may make them better. In many cases, especially if you have to do if your website has anything to do with your money, your life, that includes kids, insurance, finance, any health related advice, even if it's healthy food, for example. In many cases, that is about trustworthiness of your page. I would say EEAT, but I'm not a big fan of that term because it is being very overused. But yes, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, trustworthiness of that page matters a lot. How you can prove that you have the right to talk what you are talking about and provide any evidence that you have enough experience and expertise in that topic. Maybe authorship, if you have something to say in that. Maybe some listing some very of your like authoritative studies that confirm what you have done, what you are saying. So in many cases, look at that page and just frankly think if someone landing on that page has any reason to believe what you're saying. If not, then that is something to fix. Usability and structure is another great thing, a very important thing to recover from a core update. Structure a page differently to answer the most obvious and important question right away on top of it. Maybe add some headings, maybe add table of contents to make it easier to navigate. Maybe it's too many ads that block content from being accessed easily. All of that, you just look at that page and try to figure out if there is a way to make it better. Trust me, usually there is a way to make it much better and much more engaging. If Google is using NavBoost or whatever it's called, that is click data that they collect through Google Chrome and through their search results, if there is any way to improve your engagement, like to give people something they need right away and then engage them further with something more interesting, maybe downloads, maybe a free tool that can be used embedded on that page, maybe a video if it makes sense. Again, it's all about serving that particular search intent in the best and most usable way that you can. One more thing about something that we don't know much about. We know helpful content could have been site-wide. So if Google finds enough unhelpful content on your site, it can apply a site-wide signal, so your whole site tanks. We've seen that a lot. It makes it much harder to actually fix things because you kind of lose everything. But there is a good reason. It's helpful content, is part of the core algorithm at this point. Then it could be site-wide as well. So keep an eye on that. If you lost throughout your whole website, it must have been helpful content, which we don't have a particular fix for, but at least you will know that's the content of your website. And again, no quick or no definitive way to recover from the core update, but it is recoverable. Unlike helpful content, which I haven't seen a very good recovery story from yet, there were a few that people were able to recover, but many of them did nothing to recover. So whatever Google did 3 years ago with that helpful concept, we don't still know. But core update is very much recoverable. It is not fast, but at least you know your first steps. You need to work with the top pages first before you do anything else, because that are the pages that Google has a lot of data about. They know how people were engaging with those pages because they had traffic, so Google could track what was going on there. So if you start with those, you have a much bigger chance to have a positive recovery as Google rolls out another core update. And the timeline for the recovery, let's talk about that, because some of those updates do require the next update to roll out for you to recover. Well, core update is a little bit like that. Google will have to launch another update to kind of shift things around and maybe give you the recovery. But the good news here is that Google has lots of core updates. They are smaller. They're not as huge as the one that they do over holidays, but they do not even announce them. They publicly said that we will not officially announce every little update that we do, but we do a lot of them. So you may see a recovery during that little update that no one else saw or no one noticed or Google would not confirm. So it is some good news. At least you don't have to wait a year for the next big update to recover. So if you start doing something, chances are you will see something back soon if you do the right thing. If you do have questions and you want to see your particular website and try to help you, I do have a free 15-minute option on my website where you can schedule a quick meeting, show me your website, and I will try to help for free with no strings attached. Smarty.marketing, if you look at that website, somewhere on top of it, to the left, I think, you will see the option book a free call or something like that, and you can talk to me and we will discuss your particular website and something that can be done to recover or to avoid being penalized in the future or being impacted. Penalized is probably not the right word to say, but in essence, that's what many of those updates are doing. They're penalizing websites. So let's get in touch, and I will try to help and do that many times a week. So to see a lot of cases and to get some data as well. So it's useful for me too. It's not just I'm trying to help everyone. I do need, and as a SEO professional, I do need to see a lot of cases to make sure that I know a lot of things, So I'll be happy to talk to you and try to help. With that, I tried to talk very quickly because I was afraid of losing connection every second of my little stream. I know April has some questions. I think Todd has some questions in the comments as well. Let's discuss those and hope that I will be able to, for 10 more minutes, to speak with you.
The first question from Todd.
What is helpful content? Good question. Well, Todd probably knows much more about that than I do. He's the writer and a great one. So he actually creates content. But I think the problem here is that is very subjective. And that's the problem that we have dealt with Google for years. Like, we don't really know. Not what's helpful for someone is not helpful for others. In my newsletter, we were discussing things like determining your target audience. If your target audience is professional, you have to talk to them in professional language. They do not need one-on-one type of content. If your target audience is right at the beginning of their journey and they don't know much, you have to give them something to explain the basic concepts and guide them through better. I suggested using ChatGPT for that analysis, or Gemini. I think Gemini is much better for that kind of analysis. If you give the keyword, you can mostly get some great insights from Gemini on what can be more helpful for those particular people who search for those particular keywords. If you use ChatGPT or Gemini, also look at the fan outs. Ask where they can fan out for every particular keyword, because fan outs are very helpful too. I found that they show you where particularly your audience can be guided through the answer, and it is very helpful sign of how to make your page more helpful as well. If you don't know fan outs, search queries that ChatGPT or Gemini are using to search the web or search their own training data or whatnot. We don't really know what they're searching, but that is a bit different angle from your initial prompt. For example, if you ask something like how to find good shoes for raining weather, they will be looking at different use cases for using the shoes in the rainy weather. Maybe it's hiking, maybe it's walking, maybe it's commuting to work and you look classy and you're wearing some different kind of shoes. So they will be fanning out in different directions to try and give a user a more helpful content. And that is a great way to understand how to serve people who may be searching for something like that and give them some more clues. Going from your own experience and expertise is another great idea. For example, if you're writing a travel blog, just listing what other people are listing is not making anything different. It's not providing really helpful content. Look at more things like where to park next to each site, for example, or how much it costs, on how to save on parking, how to whether you need to bring food, how long is the hike, and will you need additional water. So something that can be helpful, the details, the insight, the hidden ideas and gems, those kind of things make things more helpful. So it is different. Like I'm listing now all kind of different topics, and it's from case to case. The helpfulness will be different. So look at your page in particular and think who you are serving here and how to do it better. Basically, a very, very subjective concept, which is not easy to define and not easy to differentiate. Okay, my favorite topic, helpful content.
Another technical question.
Can you confirm whether or not an LLM TXT file is needed? I was thinking it was not, but making sure. Officially, it is not. Whether, but from history, I have been an SEO for so many years that I'm not ready to reject anything. We've seen Google not taking robots.txt, and then suddenly they started using them, the files. So I wouldn't waste my time at this point, but I will not say never. It may be useful. It may not. We really don't know yet. Our job at this point is watch everything that's going on very carefully and come here every Wednesday to tell you what is actually happening and when. I think this is the only thing we can do at this point. No one really knows. There are lots of studies about LLM TXT files. I definitely think that energy could have been used elsewhere with more benefits than just suddenly everyone is talking about LLM TXT files. And people forget something that is really important because of all this clutter and noise. So if it ever becomes important, I will tell you, trust me, I will not miss that news before we just watch what's going on.
I have I'll ask a final question that, so you mentioned in the newsletter that there might be penalties for people leaving your site too quickly. So what are your recommendations for keeping users from leaving your site too quickly?
That is, again, just like with helpful content, it can be different from page to page. It can be different from case to case. If give them something useful for this particular use case. For example, if it's product page, having the average rating right next to the product without them having to scroll and find down that information, or allowing them to ask a question right away very close to the top, or measuring a tool, for example, how to even tell what your size is. There are lots of great tools. Instead of just giving you the measuring advice or tips, there could be a tool for that. And trust me, the technology is very great. There are people just with doing that with the phone or something like that. So anything that can be quickly useful for each particular use case. For content, that could be a video explanation of something that is being discussed. Maybe a video can be useless. It's different content, different use cases, different audience. So anything, or I always find things like screenshots or images that actually show you what to do and how, especially if it's like DIY. I don't like watching videos. I like following text instructions, but I do need images for that. Images take people attention very easily. I think even better than YouTube, because with YouTube you have to engage to see something useful. Yes, and image is like maybe a picture, maybe a screenshot, maybe something. Table of contents on top, if it's a long article, allow them to jump to something that is very interesting for them, may find more relevant for them. Free calculator to right away engage with something like, I don't know, insurance or something like that. So it's different from case to case. There are always lots of room for improvement, but helpfulness of the page has very much to do with engagement with that page. If you are very truly and sincerely dedicated to making the page actually helpful, not seem helpful, not seem authoritative, not faking that, but truly being helpful with every page, especially if it's like high traffic page that is important for you. Um, Usually that helps engagement as well. Unless you hide everything helpful with ads, then it could be like still a problem. So try to genuinely test your page, especially if you lost some traffic or you get some traffic there and you are afraid of losing it. Ask your friends to provide feedback. Ask your relatives to use the page and tell you if it is helpful. That's for small businesses. If you are a corporation, there are lots of great tools that can help you with that. Actual users using your actual page. Ask us. We can look at your page and see what how to improve it. So with that, thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to do it. I was texting my team 5 minutes before this live stream, so it's a little bit hectic. I was a little bit rushing it. I apologize, but I'm glad that we were able to discuss the core update because in a week we were ready to reschedule, but in a week it will be less data to look at. You may lose something like it's 2 weeks already, so now it's much better time to look at what you lost and use that fresh data and start exploring what can be done with that. Thank you for joining and smile.com. Please join. I will announce my next topic there. Connect with me on LinkedIn. This is where I will do those live streams. I'm in Smarty on LinkedIn, SEO Smarty on X, which is where we also stream. So connect to me somewhere to be a little of these live streams and see you next week, 1 p.m. EST, to discuss something new and burning again. Thank you and see you next week.
Bye, everyone.